I'm Corbett Wall with DB Auction, here with your feeder flash for Tuesday, April the 6th, brought to you in part by Safeguard. Is your dewormer working? Text the word SAFE to 48109 to receive a free fecal test kit. You'll also get a chance to win a pail of Safeguard mineral. It was notice day on Monday, first day you could tender for delivery. And with your April live cattle, your spot live cattle contract trading at a premium of what your fat cattle market is, you're going to get some people that want to do that. They didn't get a full dispersal of the show list last week, and so they've got cattle to sell. But at the same time, your packers didn't get a lot of cattle bought last week either. So they're going to be a little bit short bought coming into this week, but we did indeed have 45 tenders for delivery, all in the Southern Plains, 35 loads or contracts in Dodge City and 10 in Amarillo. But what's that going to do to things? Well, likely it's going to pressure your board on Tuesday, and you think, well, that doesn't work very good. Well, it gets the basis lined out, guys. So it'll likely suck your April live cattle, even though we've got a lot of push in this. In the cattle futures right now, it'll likely suck it back down a little bit to where it becomes more in line with your live cattle price, and that makes it better for your hedged feeder there, so they're not losing as much money when they trade in their hedge there. So, but it was a good day. I tell you what, just a push on cattle futures. We've been talking about that for the last couple of months. Is your managed money, your investors and things, they keep looking at cattle and think, well, everything else has gone up. All your other commodities have gone up. Your oil, your lumber, your grains, everything has gone up. Why haven't cattle gone up significantly with the onset of COVID and then the liberal Biden administration? Why hasn't it gone up too? Well, they keep pushing on it, and it's going up, guys. And they're not even looking at cost of gains on these feeder cattle because they're really, really pushing up on them. And finally, they're starting to take a look at how our numbers are a lot lighter than what they've been as far as total numbers of cattle and number of cows that are going to be calving and what our calf crop's going to look like. So, tell you what, we're kind of in the driver's seat right now. Should gain more dollars this week in your cash fat cattle markets. These packers might have to kind of come to their milk. Guys were just holding back and didn't sell cattle. Hold back again and don't sell cattle. You saw what happened last Friday when we didn't have the board open and we were able to gain even more on the week than we had already gained earlier in the week. Just hold back, guys. Hold back, you're not in trouble. Our weights are down, our cattle weights and carcass weights are down. They're getting under control big time. And in some places like Nebraska, our weights are way back off now. And you think, well, why is that? Because all those yearlings that we put on feed there 150 days ago or so, those long-tailed, hard yearling cattle, those cattle went on feed, all summer there in fall. Well, they're gone now. They're all gone. And now we're down to just calves. And calves, I mean, you gotta love them. They're prettier to look at, but they're slower growing. They don't grade nearly as well, and they don't have the weight to them that those yearlings had. But we just got calves coming down the pike, particularly in the northern plains. Now, down the southern plains, get a lot of cattle coming in from frankly, Mexico and the southeast, but they've got different ages to them, and so you've got more yearlings in the mix there, or yearlings that went on feed there. So I tell you what, we're pretty much in the driver's seat, and if guys can just resist a little bit, I think this deal is really going to come to you. I think we'll get the basis kind of back with just a few deliveries that we've had. We may have some more deliveries, but in the whole scheme of things, 45 contracts or about 40 loads of cattle is not that big a deal, but it'll get that basis kind of figured out, gain another $2 or $3 in your fat cattle market this week, make you feel pretty darn good. Tell you what, coming in here to beautiful spring weather, course, we got to fight the wind. Let's look at the board on Monday. April live cattle futures up $1.35 at 121.37. And like I said, about 45 contracts, the owners of them said, wow, that 121.37 looks pretty good. Especially down here in the Southern Plains, because we weren't able to get that. Now, they did get some 121 on Friday in Nebraska, but, about 118 was the tops in the Southern Plains. June live cattle futures up $1.87 at 124.42. That's kind of where we're headed, and we may get to that point before we get through April, guys. We're gaining ground. Look out front, you look at down on your back months, up 95 cents. That was the farthest one out traded. To your next closest that I haven't talked about was up 177. So pretty good gains there on your live cattle pits. How about feeder cattle? April feeder cattle up 257 at 146.45. May up 255 at 151.77. You go on your back months of your feeder cattle up 135 to up 215. So big gains in your cattle pits, and it's just a commodity that hasn't kept up with everything else. And then it appears that the bullishness from that prospective plannings report has already gone by. In fact, that prospective plannings report come out early enough that guys didn't have to say for sure what they were going to plant. It could, and maybe that's why it come out the way it did, if you know what I mean, to kind of prod farmers to grow more corn. And I think a lot of those that maybe had said in that survey, well, I don't know what I'm going to do. I might grow hemp, or I might do this, or I might do that. Now they're going to come back in there and grow corn, plant corn. They still can. Their prospective plannings report wasn't a done deal. That was just kind of what people's intentions were. But now I think we're going to have probably more corn by the time we come out with another report that says how many acres went into corn. I think it's going to be a whole lot bigger than what they reported as prospective plantings. Not to say that that was wrong, but like I said, it come out early enough, guys can change their mind. How about your weighted average on last week's fed cattle trade in your 5-area feeding region? Only 67,100 head. That's quite a bit lighter than the previous weeks of 84,600, and lighter than what we've seen in a long time. But now we're getting to the point where a year ago figures are showing the deep dark depths of the COVID. So a year ago, our fed cattle movement in the 5-area feeding region negotiated was only 25,400 head. Because I mean, we were in the thick of it a year ago, guys. But on that 67,100 head, that was in your 5-area. Nationwide, we had only 77,200 in the whole nation negotiated sales. That compares to 261,000 formula. But one thing I didn't like in that 77,200 nationwide negotiated, over 46% of it was for the 15 to 30 day delivery. A lot of guys fell for that. So indeed, we didn't have a whole lot right here for current delivery at all. Almost half of it was for down the road 2 to 4 week delivery there. So that hurts guys when they're trying to gain ground as we're moving forward here, whenever you're putting off delivery that far. But likely they haven't sold or hadn't bought enough cattle. Your packers, they're probably going to call more of those cattle in. And guys will be more than happy to give them to them if they've already traded for them. But they'll call those cattle in and say, hey, those cattle I wanted 3 weeks out, I'm going to go ahead and need them this week or next. But let's talk about your prices. This is in your 5-area feeding region only. 114 to 121 through the week. And I say early week. Early week was basically Thursday. That was 116 to 118. And then late week was Friday, 118 to 120. But your Southern Plains, $2 higher, mostly at 117. Had a few sales, 118. Northern Plains ended up $2 to $3 higher, from 118 to 120, with a few at 121 even on Friday. And your dress sales, $3 to $5 higher. But your weighted average on live steers, 118.08. That's up 249. Gaining $2.50 on weighted average from 1 week to the next is huge. Dress sales 185 to 190, mostly 188 to 190, and your weighted average on dress steers 189.36, up $4.49, up nearly $4.50 there, guys. That is huge gains. We can see gains that big again this week if guys will stick their heels in the ground and stay to their guns. Don't worry about, don't be so selfish just worrying about your personal hedge there. We need to get something done for the industry as a whole, guys. Let's talk about your box beef cutout values. Okay, so last week on the weighted average of the whole week's movement, your choice was up 12 bucks and select up 14.5. Just on Monday, on Monday's close, choice cuts are up another $5.82. Don't feel sorry for these packers. They're getting along. They're not sharing as much as they're getting. But choice cuts in Monday afternoon, 258.67. Selects 249.86, up 289. Let's talk about what else is going on. Ozarks Regional Stockyards, West Plains, Missouri's got their regular sale on Tuesday here. Included in that is 13 lots on their in-house video with DV Auction. If you want some of these feeder cattle, get on to Ozarks Regional. Watch it online at dvauction.com. You can view and bid those video lots right there. And I looked at several of them. They're very, very nice. How about your feeder cattle market? Real-time index on DV Auction late in the day on Monday at 141.88. That was up 4 cents. Now, you know, it could have been more than that. We didn't have as many of our Northern Plains sales on Monday. A lot of the ones are kind of every other week now because receipts are down. They were on their off week. So that's primarily with Southern Plains sales. And it still held to the big gains that we saw last week, but up 4 cents. CME Cash Feeder Cattle Index, if you look at the latest that come out on Friday, it was down 77 from Thursday. And you think, well, that doesn't make any sense. Well, there weren't many sales on Thursday. That was that big direct sales dump that are totally unverified. I told you that on the last visit. And they dumped a bunch of those direct sales in there. Nobody looked at the cattle. Nobody knows what they look like. Nobody knows for sure if the business was actually done. But your Friday CME Cash Feeder Cattle Index, 139.80. $2 less than what our real-time index is. Look at your big sales. Oklahoma National Stockyards, Oklahoma City, 7,000 head. Whipping sale there. Feeder steers $2 to $4 higher. Feeder heifers steady to $3 higher. Calves $3 to $8 higher. Joplin had a hell of a sale. 5,800 head there for them. And notice that the receipts are coming down. Just not that many cattle moving. And as we start turning more and more cattle out, there just won't be a lot of cattle moving because you know, your stockers and your yearlings will be turned out or in the feedlot, and your calves will still be on the cow, and they're out there enjoying their spring and summer with their mothers. So there's not going to be a lot of cattle moving. But Joplin feeders and stockers steady to $5 higher. Calves were kind of uneven, but some pretty snappy individual quotes out of Joplin. How about 76 head of 826 pound steers on 144? And 146 head of 796 pound steers right at 800 pounds at 145. Both of those are well north of your real-time index and a mile north of your CME Cash Feeder Cattle Index. But really good sale there in Joplin. How about Callaway Livestock Center, Kingdom City, Missouri, just 1,800 head. But I tell you what, probably the hottest sale that we saw anywhere in the nation on Monday. My good friend Greg Harrison there, he and I have been up and down the road lots of times. Steers $3 to $8 higher there. And an individual quote out of Callaway, which I thought was going to be the top quote for the day, but it ended up not being, and you're not going to believe it when I give it to you. But 67 head of kind of two-way steers. You could probably turn them out for 90 days and there'd be some big heavy yearlings coming off, or they can go right into the feedlot. That's what makes them bring so much. 67 head weighed 756 at 156 1/4. Wow. How about some other individual quotes? Sioux Falls Regional Livestock, Worthing, South Dakota, 109 head, 923 pound steers at 136.85. Big time quote. How about your little market with the big prices? Toby Myers and Sylvan Sales Commission Company there in Sylvan Grove, Kansas, 65 head, 774 pound steers at 150.60. Big time quote. But like I said, this one I think makes the others pale in comparison. Look at your Zactran top quote for the day. Come out of Aberdeen Livestock Sales, Aberdeen, South Dakota. 63 head, 988 pound steers, a whisper away from $1,000 at $140. And that's your feeder flash for Tuesday.